first day of my life. So I was born right in the doorway.
Hello everybody! How's everybody doing?
Good.
Awesome. I hope everybody is having an amazing night. I know that I am. I'm Steve, the best person of Andrew. It's so amazing to have you all here to celebrate this incredible day today. There is one thing, however, I secretly know is missing from this event. Probably about a decade or so ago, Andrew and I had made a bet.
Oh, Lord.
We were both lamenting over our extreme cases of baby face and inability to grow beards in our mid-20s. And somehow, in our minds, we figured the best way to force our bodies to grow facial hair was to threaten each other with humiliation. We decided that if either one of us was able to finally somehow grow a beard, the other one would then be able to shave that person's eyebrows the night before their wedding. Sadly, as you can all see, Andrew still has both of his eyebrows.
Anybody have a razor?
Take it off!
For some reason, we decided to cancel that bet probably a few months before I decided to grow the magnificent beard you see before you today. But Andrew and myself have always had that type of special bond, where we would make some crazy, life-altering decision without batting an eye, and often would just as quickly follow through with it. For over 15 years, we have been conjuring up and executing, almost quite literally, half-baked plans.
Literally.
One of the oldest stories of our friendship is how we ended up living in Colorado together for a year, right out of high school. I think that it was probably early in our senior years. Both Andrew and our very close friend Jeff came running up to me in between classes like they had just come up with the greatest idea of all time and said, "Let's move to Colorado together." Without batting an eye, I was like, "Yep, there's nothing unusual about that idea. Let's do it." I never questioned it for a second, and so we did. Well, not Jeff, of course. He was too busy becoming a rock star to spend a year in the middle of nowhere doing absolutely nothing but snowboarding and partying. But his loss, obviously.
Magic carpet.
Let's try to keep it somewhat
Come on, man. Let's be honest.
In those days and for a long time, we were attached to this idea of becoming some form of beat poet hippies. Reincarnated Jack Kerouacs and Allen Ginsbergs with a dab of Grateful Dead follower mixed in. We were either writing stories or poetry or creating some of probably the worst art you could imagine. But those days are what led us down a very, very long paths to insanely expensive English degrees many years later. Degrees that we are both utilizing fully to this day. But mostly just to correct others when they misuse or misspell words. Andrew and I have been on some of the most epic of adventures together, most of which I don't have the time to recount today or can't disclose without fully implicating myself in some of our more deviant misadventures. But no matter what, one of our most memorable was our drive home from Colorado. Andrew took a more direct route, and I ended up taking the long way, but we met in Philly at our friend's college, Tyler School of Art. Where Andrew had apparently been sleeping in a tent in the middle of the school's field for almost a week. But it was within that week that Andrew was introduced to this beautiful, tiny little tree fairy dreamer artist girl.
Tree fairy. It's very accurate at the time.
And when I showed up a few days later, it was clear that Andrew had found a home in the trenches of Philly. There was something about the community and the people that pulled him in so hard. We both had found a new little family, but it was one person in particular that stuck with us through the years, and that was Emily, of course. No matter how far we all went in different directions, something always pulled us all back together. But especially Andrew and Emily. There was a magnetism between them that Andrew nor Emily could shake. I remember visiting Andrew while he was living in Colorado by himself, and I was on my way out to California. And he had all these little trinkets all around his apartment that Emily had given him. And when he talked about them, and when he talked about her, there was always a not-so-subtle glow behind every word. But through most of their history together, I think both of them were way too stubborn to admit how deeply connected they really were. Andrew and Emily are by far some of the most amazing, unique, creative, and loving people I have ever had the good fortune of knowing in my entire life. There isn't a moment I can think of when I needed them, they weren't there as soon as I needed them. At the very end of my stay in California after that year, having driven a 1980 Chevy Suburban with a wooden angel head strapped to the grill of it, and zero understanding of how engines or taking care of things, I ended up needing a ride home from California. I mean, who in their right mind would agree to driving all the way out to California just to drive me all the way back to New Jersey? It definitely was not Andrew. Even though he was living a measly 15 or 20 hours away from where I was, when I called him and asked for help, I believe his initial reaction was, "What? No." Seriously? No. Sell your stuff and get a plane ticket. But about a half hour later, he called back and simply said, "Every single thing better be packed up long before I get there." I agreed. Needless to say, Andrew showed up and not a thing was packed.
And Rasta.
Emily and Rasta had also joined that.
Yep, 3-month-old Rasta.
Baby Rasta. But that is Andrew. He is the type of friend that would do anything for his friends. Though sometimes begrudgingly, he always comes through. With that level of kindness, it always comes back full circle. It is the type of friend both Andrew and Emily attract, always. In fact, Just a few weeks ago, the circle came back around when a few of Andrew's closest friends got together to hang out for a weekend. Just a few days to relax, have a few drinks, you know. Well, about a few hours after getting in, we all went out to dinner. We had a great time, had a few drinks, and we decided to grab one last drink before the night's end.
Uh-oh.
We get to the bar, and Andrew has a panicked look as he digs through all of his pockets. An entire weekend built around him, and this intelligent, amazing man had not only just forgotten to bring his ID, but had deposited it with a wad of cash to his landlord. And so he decides his best course of action was to call our good friend Robbie, who is at this point approximately 8 hours into driving all the way from North Carolina just to be there. Just to be there for Andrew for this weekend. And Andrew has the balls to say, hey, could you go to Philly and just pick up my passport? And as full circles go, Robbie's initial response was, what? No, definitely not. Seriously? No.
Not happening. I've been driving all day.
But of course he called back a few minutes later and agreed to go. Again, that is the type of friends that these two amazing people we celebrate today surround themselves with. But I think the most...
Can you drive me back to North Carolina?
What? No.
I think that the most perfect part about this whole thing was Andrew's brother's Josh's response to this situation. That it was so very Andrew. He is a man of beautiful thoughts and beautiful ideas, but his execution? Well, that has never been his strongest area. He is a free spirit. He is a free spirit. The type of person who had the guts to strip down and streak past a giant set of open windows in our high school cafeteria in the middle of lunch hour.
That can't be unseen.
But he first decided to strip down while right in front of the administration building and finished getting dressed while standing right outside the windows of the teacher's lounge.
Ryan threw me my clothes. Ryan brought the clothes to me.
Was it your junior year?
And I was a junior. And they were like, aren't you a junior?
It was not a prank, it was just
You made like $20.
There was originally like 80 or 90 on the table.
It was like 20 bucks and a pretzel.
Pretty sure the money was gone off the table by the time I got back.
So I could go on, and I kind of already have at this point, but the point of all of this is that Andrew is a brother to me. He and his family have taken me in as one of their own.
Oh, I love you, buddy.
Ah, big guy.
I'm not crying, you're crying. When I needed the love, they've always been there. And over all of the years, Emily has equally become possibly the biggest part of that family. Watching him grow from the naked boy streaking across the line to the person he is today, in my humble opinion, is in no small part due to the love that he and Emily share.
Oh.
Skinny dipping at midnight.
We have all gone through so much together. From a once complicated friendship to an awe-inspiring and adoration for each other type of love. I believe that Emily fuels Andrew. Although an unbelievably incredible artist herself, she is also Andrew's muse and motivation. A reason to do better, to be stronger, to want more out of life than aimless adventures, but rather adventures with purpose, towards a more beautiful future. Emily, we have been so close for so many years now. It is my absolute, from the bottom of my heart, honor to be here with both of you today.
Yay!
Make fun of Andrew more.
Just as much as Andrew's my brother, you are a part of my and our family. I could not have imagined in all these years Andrew being more blessed than to end up spending his life with such an amazing and caring and beautiful person. I love the both of you, and I am excited, so excited to see where the next 15 years will take us and what new adventures will await us. If everybody would raise a glass. To two of the best, most amazing people on this earth. May every day and all adventures be as great and meaningful as the love between you.